made me move to Atlanta is, like I said, when I was interning at Arista, at that time they had LaFace Records, they had Rowdy Records, and like LaFace was huge. You know, the label itself was huge. You know, so I started meeting a lot of people that worked at these different labels. You know, just dealing with them on a daily basis on the telephone. And then I ended up at Patchwork, at the studio, Patchwork Recording Studio. And it was like the hottest hip hop studio in Atlanta. So back then you had, you know, everybody recording, like out of Atlanta, you know, in this house studio. I met Tip, man. Me and DJ Toomp, we became friends, and we decided that we wanted to get an artist to collaborate with together. And eventually we went across Tip, you know, and that came about because Toomp pretty much grew up with Tip's older cousin at the time. There's a lot of T's involved in this conversation. His older cousin was actually a guy named Tramel, we used to call Toop, you know, so it was like Toop, Tips, and Toop. But that's how I ended up meeting Tip. You know, we ended up meeting, and I mean, you know, it was just crazy because when we first met, we met in the barbershop, and I was there and we were all talking probably for about an hour, hour and a half, just talking, and eventually I said, okay, so like, where's the artist at? And he's like, yo, I'm the artist, you know? So, I mean, it was like, we just kind of like clicked. I mean, really, you know, it was like, that was the best thing that could have happened to us, I think, honestly. You know, just being that we kind of were able to sneak out of a deal. You know, initially, his first album was through, when we signed, it was production company Ghetto Vision / LaFace Records / Arista Records, you know. So I mean, we took that scenario, which was obviously Tip signed as an artist deal with some points, but we were able to get out of our deal and then build our brand and go into our next deal with a real joint venture 50-50 deal, you know. So for us, you know, at the time, it was, I mean, it was a good moment, you know. Hey, you could be independent, you could run around, you could do a lot of stuff, but your look isn't the same. So would you rather be independent, making, I don't know, 80% of $100, or would you rather be major, making 50% of $1,000? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you know, it really just depends, man. I think a lot of people, you know, timing is everything, you know. And really, our next situation, we're gonna be going into our next deal, our next, you know, this is Tip's last album, and our next scenario will be going into a distribution scenario. You know, so therefore, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You know, you get the support and the resources of a major label, but you also get more of the chunk on the back end. You also own the masters as well. That's kind of like a trick question. I think you got to deal with it as you know, you got to deal with it as it comes to you more than anything. You know, I think that's really the bottom line. You got to see, okay, what does this mean? If my artist is on probation, what does this mean? If my artist is in jail, what does this mean? And how do I maneuver around the obstacle? I wouldn't consider this album a comeback album at all. I really just consider it as T.I. has not really been available over the last few years, because in all actuality, when you think and you say it's some acts that are like on fire, I would say right now, you know, and they're still like gold acts, right? Sales wise, they're still selling 500, maybe 700,000 albums, and these are like artists that are like that really had great years, you know. Tip, excuse me, at his weakest point, at his lowest point since day one, this last album came out and it went gold. He sold 600-something thousand albums, Soundscape. You know, so to me, that really says something. To say that, damn, these dudes are here and they're running around, they're working, and they're on fire. And this dude has been away and very quiet, and numbers are pretty much the same, you know? So to me, it really just says that the dude has not been available, and he needs to make himself available and stay available.